To the Gibson Suite, and please give a round of applause for the amazing Joanna Rush in Sex and Power.
Four guys jumped over the wall on Central Park South and grabbed my date and made him watch while they raped me. The day after the rape, my Rockhead sister, Laurel, helped me cover up the cuts and bruises with makeup. Oh, honey, oh, come on now. I know you're having a rough time. You think all men are like those creeps in the park? I don't know. Hell no. And the minute that curtain comes down, I want you to go right out there and report those little fuckers. Laurel, they're just kids. It can ruin their future. Are you kidding? You need a future too. And besides, if you don't report it, it could happen to somebody else. One day, I was on a crowded number 11 bus on my way to an audition, and the guy next to me pressed up against me with the usual hard-on and started singing softly in my ear for everyone to hear. Some enchanting, you will meet a stranger across a crowded. And I'm really pretty shy, but I turned to him and belted, and somehow you'll know even then. He got off at the next stop. And I found a home in musical comedy, playing bad girls. God, was I acting like a bad girl off stage as well as on? Because I experienced several other sexual assaults. What was wrong with me? In spite of my bad experiences with men, I wanted to have a family. So I got married and had a baby. A boy baby. I was aware that as a white boy, he would be automatically privileged. A sense of entitlement could cause him and everyone around him damage. I regret the times his father or I told him no, and we let him do what he wanted anyway. Were we planting the seeds for entitlement? Yes. But more importantly, we were teaching him how he could safely ignore the word no. One day, he wanted to take a short walk to the center of town, and I said, okay, but I can't carry you up the hill. We made an agreement that he would walk both ways. He walked all the way there and almost all the way back. When we got to the foot of the hill on our block, he said, carry me. No, we have an agreement. Carry me. No. Carry me! No. I sat on a neighbor's lawn, refusing to give in. I was so proud of myself. My husband thought I was crazy. I was crazy. I took pride in my ability to move on, but I could never stop thoughts from those past events from haunting me, or wondering why those men had subjected me to such violence. Why did those guys rape me? What drove them? How were they capable of it? Was it a genetic relic from our primitive past? Was it this culture that's been shaped by men? These guys did not see me as a human being. Was it a right brain, left brain thing? Or was it a matter of pathology? The human population includes psychopaths and sociopaths. Not much you can do about that. Unless you have a functional MRI machine and know how to use it. The amygdala is the part of the brain where emotions originate. In an fMRI image, a healthy amygdala looks like an almond. If the guy you're with looks more like a walnut, get the hell out of there. But if you don't have $1 million for an fMRI machine, then it pays to be aware of your date's resting heart rate and his blood pressure. If they're a little on the low side, he may need extra stimulation. Like, if you'd be satisfied seeing a horror film, he may need actual horror. If, as they say, 1% of the population is psychopathic, I probably did it. I just had no idea how to tell who it was safe to be with. Rape can have long-term effects. PTSD, vertigo, tinnitus, vocal problems. My voice teacher pointed out how closely the vocal cords resemble the vagina. Vocal cords! Just seeing that image gave me deeper respect for my instrument. What I hear repeatedly from survivors of sexual assault is that what gives them comfort is being able to tell their story, be listened to, and believed. The experience of being heard and believed frees us from shame and self-blame. At one talkback, a young man raised his hand and asked, "How should I treat someone who's been raped?" A young woman stood up and told him, "Just listen." During the Kavanaugh hearings, I reached out to friends who I knew had been raped. It was shocking to realize that there were so many of us. So I don't know why I was surprised and frankly devastated when I came across a Reuters list of the 10 most dangerous countries for women. The 10th is the United States of America. Our country is the 10th most dangerous for women, right after number 8 and 9, Yemen and Nigeria. Holy shit! How did I not know that? What conditioning have I undergone that I would be shocked at that? The truth is, even as a privileged white woman, I lived in fear from the time I hit puberty till the time I became a grandmother. Right here, in our exceptional country. I thought it was just me. I felt like I was a stain on our shining city on the hill. I just worked harder and harder to become a better person. I've become numb to the violence. Back in the 70s, I was cast as the only woman among a group of gamblers held hostage in a Las Vegas men's room. On the first day of rehearsal, the leading actor, a star, greeted me by wrapping his arms around me and throwing us both to the ground. In Hollywood culture at the time, a guy with a little power could get away with all kinds of stuff. Women had a certain power too, screwing men for jobs and getting them. My manager, Estelle, was all for it. Listen, Toots, it's not going to kill you. And I know the perfect guy. Loves redheads, adores dancers. I don't think so. He's smart, he's rich, has a development deal at Paramount. No, he's perfectly trustworthy. I can vouch for him. How do you know? He's my husband. I can't do that. And why not? Because I'm Catholic. Yeah, right. Go ahead. Do things your way. You'll wind up with a rifle. We don't have adequate language for talking about sexual violence. But many brave souls are doing it anyway. Each story adds to the healing. Each step in the direction of truth can lead us to, I don't know, sexual sanity? At one campus, we met these beautiful young women who told me that they'd had abstinence only or no sex education at all. They were in knots, anguished, desperate to know the truth about human sexuality. Many young men have even less education and more twisted information than the girls. Men make up a surprising number of survivors I meet. I think men have a harder time admitting they're victims of sexual violence. The shame they feel is complicated by the assault on what they've learned to accept as the core of their masculinity. I have grave concerns for their well-being, whether we're talking victims or perpetrators. The demand on boys to be a man is tough on a person with feelings. How could the men who raped me see me as a human being if they were operating without that essential aspect of their humanity? Masculine emotion, including crying, was accepted through the 19th century, but seemed to change around the time of World War I. Recruitment posters finally defined the requirements for masculinity. The United States Army builds men. The masculine man had to be religious, hardworking and handy, well-built, Christian and white, with weapons. The Army was used as a model of what American men should be, and how to judge men in general. In today's world, men who are raised in the image of that macho role model are bound to be frustrated and angry and feel disconnected. And when men feel alienated and less socially dominant, they have a deeper need for recognition. And that's when being a man manifests most primitively as violence. I pictured those 4 young men who raped me the first time. They were very young. Maybe it was peer pressure. Were they trying to live up to their idea of what it was to be a man? I'll never know. But I don't want the next generations to go through the trauma. I want to get to the root of the problem. And Gore Vidal says to get to the root of anything, you must be radical. The word radical actually comes from the Latin word for root. He went on to say, quote, from a Bronze Age text known as the Old Testament, 3 anti-human religions have evolved: Judaism, Christianity, Islam. These are sky god religions. They are literally patriarchal. Hence the loathing of women for 2,000 years in those countries afflicted by the sky god and his earthly male delegates. Now, I'm an interfaith minister. When I was in seminary, I was full of respect for these religions. The teachings, do unto others, love your neighbor as yourself. But honestly, they have all basically failed to give us a unifying vision of the world. The mystical teachings of these religions do teach love, not dogma. The Iroquois, the Hopi, the Minangkabau people of Indonesia are all cultures that have or have had gender equality. And what do they have in common? They have little or no incidence of rape. I relate to ancestors from those long ago times. My great-great-great-great-greats, Dorinda and Irving. I just found out from one of those DNA tests that I'm more Neanderthal than most people. They hunted and fished together. They shared child rearing chores, had great sex. Look how happy they were. While the men stayed home in their man caves, the women traveled looking for sexual partners. They knew this was a way to prevent inbreeding and to have fun. Look at Dorinda. And Irving doesn't seem to mind at all. If Dorinda was traveling, Irving must have had visitors too. Somewhere around my 34th year in therapy, I decided that it was time for me to meet the challenge of being in a successful relationship with a man, like Dorinda was. I met one. He was funny and kind. And he wanted a relationship too. But he was not my type. Not my type! What does that even mean? Today's generation of students are way beyond that. They appreciate each other. They see the dysfunction of our gender relationships played out in the destruction of the planet. At our local March for Our Lives demonstration, a 16-year-old boy, his voice cracking with pubescent ardor, reached out to boomers and beyond and said, "Thank you to those on whose shoulders we stand." When he said thank you and included us, I was sad thinking about the world we were leaving in. That in spite of all of our years of activism, we were still not leaving our kids a better world. but we are leaving the world better kids.